I started watching Chained Soldier a little bit after the first season ended. I don't remember how I discovered it, but I found it and then shot through the English dub of it all. And my motto in recent history is to avoid one season animes like the plague, especially the ones that aren't OVAs or ONAs. Why? Because I realized that for the past several years, animes that are based on source materials are being used just as a marketing ploy for said source materials. So a light novel or manga that has been going for a while would get a really banging anime season and then crickets or nothing until years later or never. Chained Soldier was one of the very few that squeezed through my personal rule when it had only one season. But I pushed it out of my mind after seeing it since I figured a new season is either several years away or it would never get a follow up. Then it turns out season 2 dropped out of the blue, to me at least, and I had to rewatch season 1 on top of reading the manga. Yes, I am now caught up with the manga. New chapters seemingly drop every 2 weeks. This story is awesome. If you are someone that likes fan service or stories driven by competent female characters, then you will surely like this series. I'm not going to get into too much on what the story is about here, as this video is mainly for whoever is already in the fandom, other than just briefly say it's about monsters from another realm threatening the human realm and girls with special powers, including turning and transforming this guy into a slave warrior, fight against them. What I really want to discuss are the things that I noticed after rewatching and reading through over 170 chapters in a matter of days. Tenka. So before Discuss shut down their services on anime sites, I recall being on some comment sections and a conversation led to someone saying Tenka was like the most popular character, and I was like, really? And even though I went on to see more of the season at the time and started liking her myself, I was still a little bit in shock at the person's statement, even after they shared the popularity poll where Tenka was indeed extremely high up. But after reading the whole manga, I get it. Tenka right now is my second favorite female character. I'd even say she was my outright number one for a while, but Kyouka, who I later gets to, is my current number one girl. The way she constantly gets those fantasies about life with Yuki and how she calls Aoba sister, sneaks them supplies whenever, investigates her own organization to find out their secrets in order to confront Supreme Commander Ren. Sidebar real quick. Tenka is cool with a powerful ability, but the power that Ren has shown thus far dwarfs every other commander combined. So to do something that would put you on her radar and in a bad light to her, you gotta have balls. Figuratively, of course. I like that she's basically the only girl that has always freely given Yuki rewards from the very beginning to know. The only thing that is missing from her character on a whole, and I think if we get this, she'll be my all time number one for the remainder of the show, and that is a backstory, an actual backstory arc. Last thing I want to say on Tenka is that I have had this suspicion from ever since Kyouka was doing a slave lending and everybody except her was getting a go at it, but upon seeing one of the later chapters, I am now sure of it. No idea if the author planned it from early or not, but Tenka on Yuki, whatever that transformation turns out to be, I have a feeling that it will be some end of series level type of deal. Meaning, the transformation that Yuki takes on with Tenka as his primary master will either be A, the most powerful form ever, B, the most important form ever, or C, it acts as a bookend or a climax to the whole series. Up next, I want to talk about this person. Yo. Yo! When I first saw her, I swear I thought it was gonna be another generic or loud rival to the MC that is going to be butting heads at everything and is going to be exhausting seeing on screen after a while. And at the time of her introduction, it did feel like it was almost a forced quota sort of thing to meet in order to get a rival for the main female lead. Boy, was I happy that was not the case. She is the most determined commander ever. Her ability is not super OP, but her willpower, bruh. If only One Piece, my favorite series, had a woman like this in it when it comes to on screen badassery for a focused stretch. This is exactly how you write a well rounded female character. The rivalry with Kyouka was not even anywhere close to the most relevant aspect of her character. The fight that she had with Kusetsu, Mira spread herself thin using her ability to save the whole city while forcing an actual god to high diff. She even had me believing after a point that she would pull it off and get the dub. There's more I could say about this fight. It's the best in the series, but I started off thinking she would not be able to win due to having to save the people and fight a god at the same time. Then I felt she may just as well pull it off, but once they cut away from her, I knew it was over. It's a typical writing strategy that if a non MC fights an antagonist for a while, and they cut to the MC before giving us the end, it's a bad sign for the non MC. Sure enough, we go to Kyoka arriving on scene to Mira being absorbed by Kusetsu. Initially, the first half of my brain felt a tad bit disgusted and felt it was humiliating, but then after I realized Kusetsu doesn't eat her victims, she absorbs and stores them in order to use their abilities. Then the second half of my brain found it a bit hot. Mira even ended up fighting back from the inside. I think that towards the end of this arc, Mira was my outright number one girl. Problem is, she sorta got sidelined after that with the best character moments past that point being her friendship with Ren and also supporting Kyoka over herself and her own desires to be Supreme Commander. If you want us to share and discuss more awesomeness about this or other series in the future, show some support to help the channel grow. Because unfortunately, the video has gone on too long to spend the appropriate time on that Kusetsu fight and other things such as Best Girl Kyoka. At first, I did not have her at the top because she came off as the typical angry boss girl who was just using Yuki out of convenience, but she grew to being a certified badass, had plenty of funny moments when it came on to reluctantly lending out Yuki. Sometimes it's like she has to tell herself that giving Yuki to others will help in future wars in order to do it. And at this point, she and Tenka are the two that I'd say genuinely love Yuki beyond just being driven by lust. And of course, Alba. Alba is one of my S or A tier girls as well. His sister. Oh, and I guess Himari as well, who we will not get to in this video. Favorite rewards? Anything with the MILF Fubuki Azuma is number one. Mira and Yuki having their version of Jack and Rose in the car with foggy windows. There are times when I even think Mira went all the way with Yuki. But that's my number two. And number three would be the gods Shikoku and the others ganging up on Yuki there. As for the negatives, I sorta wish we had more female character designs under various templates. Don't get me wrong, physically we have variety, just wanted a bit more. Like, we only have one Joryu type physique and one Coco type physique, and then a bunch of soft, subtly curved females with the only changes being bust size. Mira should have a more athletic build, Kyoka as well. Bell or Varvara could probably be a tad bit more slender to add variety. Ren or Yakumo could have been taller. And the Granny Azuma. I am growing a bit tired of these artists not knowing how to draw sexy old women. So they instead draw some young girl and claim that the girl is old. And the biggest negative for me is the inactivity of the eight thunder gods. This is going to require a whole video unto itself, but I have an issue with how the final five gods are just not really doing much of anything relevant to our main characters, as far as something on the level of what Kusetsu did in the human realm, or what they tried to do during their first encounter with the MDF. For a good while, they are kind of just sitting back, plotting, captured Yuki, but then after he got out, did nothing proactive until the MDF was right on their turf. So we skipped some key steps before we are now apparently in the final battle arc. I'd have preferred if every god at least had their own domain or posed their own unique threat to society or Yuki before they are defeated. As for what I hope to see in the future, I'd love if Taikyoku or the Mother of the Gods have a Yuki transformation. I want to see him having another upper tier type of form other than what Ren did. Ren's Yuki form has gotten stale real fast. It's just a giant monstrous dog. Uh, I also need either an Aoba on Yuki transformation to see that brother sister dynamic, or her getting to another level and saving the day or something in the current arc. I also would not be against the people Kusetsu absorbed in the past having some sort of interaction with her before the series is over. Oh, and I almost forgot. In closing, my favorite ability thus far, I think it would be cheap to pick Himari or Ren or Taikyoku because it's not like that's really creative to say they have a unique ability. It's more so that the author simply gave them multiple abilities. So therefore, I think right now it's between Tenka and Varvara. Leaning towards Varvara, which is ironic because her Yuki form is also my favorite, specifically the design. By the way, she would also be in my S or A tier for favorites overall. And the most lethal ability is that of Bells. You do not want Bell to touch you or get close to you in a serious fight for longer than a second or so, or else you're dead.